Hey there, Internet. I'm Logan Weiss, and welcome to the channel. I'm a church media guy who likes to help other media people do what they do better. Today, we're talking about the different parts of a sound system, how they fit together, and how to do some basic troubleshooting. Let's dive in. All right, so before I dive in, I want to preface this. This is a very basic video, a very basic overview of how a sound system fits together. This is meant to be 101. This is your beginning. If you know absolutely nothing, this is a good place to start on how a sound system is put together. So for those of us who are not immersed in church media and have not dedicated their lives to learning it like some sort of weird Turkish audio monk, sound systems can be pretty daunting. Tons of wires, different connectors, line level, speaker level, ground lift, ground loop, hums, buzz, feedback, all of that can get you overwhelmed very, very quickly. But if we break it down into a couple different parts, it's actually not that bad. What we're going to be doing is following our signal path. Now, what's signal path? That's the path your signal takes. Our signal path starts at a microphone or an instrument. We're going to use a microphone in this example. From the microphone, it follows a transmission line over to your stage box or your snake. Now, there's analog versions, digital versions, and a million different types of both. But if it's analog, it should look something like this. If it's digital, it should look something like this. After that stage box, we've got more transmission lines. By the way, don't worry about what type of transmission line. We will get into that at a later date. Suffice it to say for now, it's either an analog balance signal or a digital signal. After your stage box or snake, we're going to have more transmission lines that lead back to your soundboard, the heart of the beast, or maybe the brain. I guess the subs would be the heart. That makes more sense to me. I don't know about you, but inside our soundboard, we do a bunch of magical sound thingies to make everything sound better. Then from there, we have more transmission lines to go back to the stage to your amplifiers. Now, sometimes these amplifiers are external, sometimes they're internal, and that depends on your speakers. If you have what's called passive speakers, they need to be amped from an external amplifier. If you have powered speakers, then they have an amplifier inside of them already. Quick rule of thumb with that, if your speakers have to plug into power, they're powered speakers, they're active speakers, they have an amp inside. Don't worry about the amplifier step. It's already integrated into the speaker and you're good. Another thing that could be integrated into your speaker is a crossover. Now, what a crossover does is it separates the frequencies between your speakers and your subs. Trying not to overcomplicate this, your subs have a much lower frequency band that they operate in. They don't need all the signal up here, generally about 200 hertz, although it does vary. From 200 hertz all the way up to 20 kilohertz, your sub doesn't really need, so we don't send that signal to the sub. It can cause all kinds of problems that I'm not going to get into today. Just trust me when I say it's not needed. On the flip side, that 200 hertz up to 20 kilohertz is needed for your main speakers. So we're going to send that up to your main speakers. That's all a crossover does. It makes that split, sends some to the subs, sends the rest to the mains, and you're good. Again, if you have active speakers, a lot of times with newer speakers, this is integrated. If you have an older system, it may not be. And then finally, since I've already said it multiple times, you've got your speakers. And that's our whole signal path. Microphone, stage box, mixer, amplifier, speakers. Pretty simple. Now about troubleshooting. A good simple way to do troubleshooting is the divide and conquer method. Basically cut your signal path in half and figure out whether you're having problems at the first half or the second half. For instance, if my keyboard player is playing on Sunday and I have no sound coming out of the speakers, our midpoint is going to be the soundboard. If I have the little green blinky lights going on at the soundboard, well, then we know that the keyboard is outputting sound. It's getting to our stage box, and the stage box is sending it at least up to the mixer. So I don't have to worry about anything up to that point, and more than likely, I've forgotten to unmute him or pull up the fader that has his volume on it. Now, if I don't have the little blinky lights, then the problem is probably somewhere on stage. And what I'd do from there is I would start at the keyboard, make sure it's on, make sure it's plugged in, make sure it's sending signal, make sure the volume is up, and just move down your line. Check your direct boxes, make sure everything's plugged in. Check your stage box, make sure all your connections are right, and move from there. I will say this, rarely does anything go wrong with your transmission line from your stage box to your mixer, unless you're a mobile church like mine, and then all bets are off, anything can happen. Again, I'm not trying to get into the nitty-gritty of XLR connectors and speak-on connectors and ohm ratings and active versus passive speakers and what you should use and what you shouldn't use. If you've got any questions about that for your specific church, comment below. I'd love to hear about it, and I'd love to answer all those questions for you. Now, this is just meant to be a basic overview of one setup of a sound system. There are tons of variations we could get into, as well as the different types of transmission lines, different speaker selections, soundboard variances, and a ton of other things, and I'll be going into that in future videos. But for now, I hope this was helpful. Don't forget to like and subscribe. I'll see you all next time.